That's spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
I will say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner.
Welcome to 30 Minutes of Football. This is your host, Anthony Weiner, and I'm joined by Kevin Phillip Fox at the Buffalo Trill on Twitter. We're going to answer your fancy football questions and then preview the Thursday night game against the Seahawks and 49ers tonight. Kevin, how are you doing?
Dude, I'm doing fantastic, man. I'll tell you what, 3 main leagues, 3 playoff spots. Couldn't be any happier as far as fantasy football goes this year, but I am tilting my face off just like the rest of our listeners. So this is a very important 30 minutes for me, Anthony. You have no idea.
That's good to hear. So let's jump right into it because we do have a football game going on tonight that we all want to make sure we catch.
Heck yeah.
30 Minutes of Football starts now.
Boom. Let's go.
So we do have a question. So we'll start with David Marazzo. We have any reservations on starting Fields coming back from a shoulder, Josh Allen or Fields? What do you think?
Well, I have to be honest with you. If I was ranking my quarterbacks this week, I think I would probably say they're both quarterback ones. Just Fields due to rushing upside. I feel like and what he's proven this year, like what he's proven to be capable of this year. But I don't know if you can bench Josh Allen. I know the weather is tough, but he's Josh Allen. You know, he's been one of the top 3 quarterbacks all year. So how do you have the cojones to bench Josh right now? I don't see it. I don't see benching Josh. If you have the option, you're a lucky person. But I'd probably go with Josh Allen. The weather does scare me though. I will say that much. But
I think with the weather being the way it's going to be, they're probably going to stay on the ground for the most part, but that could also include Josh Allen staying on the ground. And he knows how to run. He knows how to make plays.
He's a power back playing.
Justin Fields, football. I know he made that as a 67-yard rush touchdown against the Packers, and that was insane. If he can do that kind of performance, I would keep Fields, but he's a hit or miss. He's either going to fail or he's going to do very well. And you want Josh Allen, he's going to produce every time.
No matter what, you're guaranteed because of his rushing floor. It's very safe to start Josh Allen. He hasn't been throwing for 300 yards for a long time. He hasn't been putting up several touchdowns a game, which very uncharacteristic for him. Trust me. You see the logo on my hat. I might seem a little biased, but this man, Josh Allen, I have him in 2 leagues, and I clinched the 1 seed in one of those leagues. I clinched the bye, and in another one of those leagues, I'm in 3rd place. So, you know, he's still Josh Allen. I understand the reservations. It's a fair question to ask given what we've seen. Not to mention, Fields is playing the Eagles, and they're not known for their running defense. So that's tempting. It's interesting, but I think you would kick yourself if Fields puts up a stinker and Josh goes crazy. I think Josh is the safe play, and I think he's the correct play.
Getting right into playoffs, I think you have to make sure you're making your decisions right, because it could be 1 point and you're done, and you're out of playoffs, and
nobody wants that.
Right.
Nobody wants
Josh
that.
Allen has been so consistent that I would probably want to stick with him.
And that's just really quick, more so than even in real life football, which, you know, the turnovers were a problem for a second. He hasn't been putting up crazy yards for a couple weeks. I don't know if you watched any of the game last week, but it was a dogfight. It was a slugfest. It was raining. It was snowing.
Well, what was it? The first half was like 8 punts or something?
Yeah. I believe it was the first 10 possessions of the game ended in a punt. Wow. So it's just, unbelievable. But he did put up a decent fantasy day because he's Josh Allen, and that's what he's capable of doing. So, and also Miami's defense is nothing to write home about. So I would start Josh Allen. But anyways, do you want to touch on the Lions comment there or the
yeah? So before we get to Cato Luna's question, he said, "Welcome to 30 minutes of Lions making the playoffs."
Oh my goodness!
Honestly, we could dive deeper into the Lions, but at this point, I
would love to at least a second. I'd love to at least touch on it.
It's almost like, do you see the Lions losing at all?
Wow. I'm not gonna lie to you, Anthony. You're gonna be mad at me, but I bet when I saw that the 10-2 Vikings were underdogs, I hammered. I put money on them everywhere I could.
Oh, and
And
they lost. The
I got
Lions
burned.
won.
I got burned
So
really bad.
we're playing the Jets, the
That's a
Panthers,
dub.
the
That's a
Bears, and the Packers.
Yeah,
So
that's 100% a dub. Like I honestly think that I think the Lions how far out are they from the wild card, Anthony? You know this stuff.
we have to win out. Seattle has to lose
Wow.
at least once, and Washington has to lose at least once.
It's possible.
It's very possible.
It's possible.
We could win the division, but Minnesota has to lose out. But they play the Colts. I don't see that happening.
I'm looking for the wild card for the
Yeah, me
Lions, and if they sneak in, they're the most exciting sneak in playoff team in years, hands
Yeah.
down.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, even if they don't make the playoffs, they're gonna have a good season next year if they keep playing with the grit that they're playing with now.
I mean,
Be a
Campbell
whole new
has an inspired group, that's for damn sure.
We have
Um,
5 top 60 picks in the draft.
Yeah, dude, you guys are on the right track. I'm extremely happy for you. I definitely see a Bills like jump for the Lions in the next
Yeah.
3 to 4 years.
So Takeo says, should I start Tua or Purdy?
This
So
is a
I'm gonna
great
start on this
question.
one just because I'm still not a Brock Purdy believer. I have not seen enough. He's only played in 2 games. I need to see more. I mean, yeah, you beat the GOAT. I guess he took the crown. To be the king, got to kill the king. He killed the king. So, Purdy, I like him. I do. Mr. Irrelevant. It's an underdog story. I'm obsessed with underdog stories. It's incredible. They need to make a movie about this. But I'm still not a believer. But I am a believer in Tua. And he has
Okay.
targets like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. He knows how
That's
to run
true.
the ball when he gets pushed out of the pocket.
That's fair.
But now we can bring up the fact that the weather is going to be the same thing that we were talking about with Josh Allen. It's going to be the same. The weather. I think I would start Purdy. He has a game tonight where he needs to prove himself.
Yeah.
But it's a hit or miss. Do you want to gamble on Brock Purdy proving himself, or do you want to gamble on Tua just having a mediocre game, which
I
he
mean,
always is going to produce?
Let's put this in perspective, Anthony. A 49ers quarterback has produced for fantasy every single week for the distant past. Like you have to go back to the beginning of the season to find a bad fantasy output from a San Francisco quarterback. I don't understand it personally because it's such a rush heavy scheme, but here we are, in the fantasy playoffs, and Niners quarterbacks have proven to be valuable. I had a buddy jokingly text me last week. Shout out to Zach Miller. He said, bench Josh for Brock Purdy. And I'm 85% sure he was kidding.
Yeah.
But Brock Purdy scored more fantasy points last week than Josh Allen.
Wow.
And so here we are. Tua's got the weather. Tua's facing a defense that hasn't been the juggernauts we expected on the year, but they're getting Tre'Davious White back. Matt Milano is healthy. Greg Rousseau is looking like, the Von Miller injury, everybody was panicking. Greg Rousseau looks like every bit worth the first round pick that he was drafted with a couple of years ago. So I'm not really sure, Anthony. I mean, it's Tua. He's earned his flowers this year, and I've given them to him. I used to be a doubter. I still think he has a water pistol for an arm, but you don't need a big arm to make it work in this new Mike McDaniel offense. I'm
Sure.
I don't hate Tua, but I don't love Tua, and I think I might be borderline loving Brock Purdy. And the matchup's not great. But like I said, San Francisco, it hasn't mattered this year.
It doesn't, because you have Christian McCaffrey. You just pass the ball to him on a flat, and he's going to find the end zone.
Yep.
George Kittle, he's good at jumping up and grabbing the ball no matter where it is. I don't know if is Debo healthy. If Debo's healthy,
I don't think Debo's going to play tonight.
Okay.
I don't think Debo's going to play. We'll get all up in that in on the preview. But yeah, as far as I know, no Debo tonight.
So because of the targets that the Niners offense has, the quarterback doesn't have to really work that much, which gives them the ability to play throughout the entire game at a high level. And Brock Purdy now has that opportunity. He has those targets. I say start Purdy.
Honestly, I think I agree. I think, as crazy as that sounds, we have to acknowledge that this is a crazy, again, gutsy decision that you're going to have to make because Tua's been more consistent. But Brock Purdy, there's such a small sample size there. Shout out to David in the comments right now. He is just keeping us informed. No Debo until week 17.
Run game tonight.
We're gonna have a heavy run game.
Shanahan's the quarterback.
Yeah, David, you're on fire right now. And Takeo, we know the Colts beat the Chiefs. It is football. The Texans almost beat the Cowboys. It's all true, but we do have to use the logical tools at our display. Unless we're going out on a limb, we do have to use the likelihood. Like I believe on last week's pod, I believe I might have said there was no way in hell that the Rams beat who did they play again? Remind me.
The Raiders when Baker.
I believe I said there was no way in hell. Picked the Raiders to cover, and I was feeling real good about that for 59 minutes and 2 seconds until Mr. 17 Baker Mayfield came out there and just did what he did. And Anthony, shout out to you because you picked the Rams to cover.
Yeah,
I don't think you picked them to win, but hey, you don't need to. All you got to do is pick them to cover, and you got your flex of the week there. So, but that's football for you. You know, you can go out on a limb if you feel strongly. I don't feel strongly enough about any of these calls to say one way or the other. But if it's me, I'm going Josh Allen and I'm going Brock Purdy for those two.
All right. Yeah, I'll have to agree. Keep Josh Allen. He's going to be consistent. And Brock Purdy has something to prove. So we'll
how about fantasy? You know, fantasy sleepers worked out well last week, Anthony. You got any fantasy sleepers for us this week?
Fantasy sleepers. Zonovan Knight.
Ooh, bam.
Oh, I picked him up
Bam.
3 weeks ago. And ever since, he's gotten me over 15 points. And I was struggling in my run game. So I needed something on running back, and Zonovan Knight was the answer. I didn't even know it. I picked him up. I'm like, you know what? He had an okay game. Let's pick him up. Got me 20 points the day after, or the game after, and I'm just like, that's good. So sleeper pick, Zonovan Knight for sure.
I love it. I'm going to give you a 2-for-1 special here because both my sleepers are super risky, super deep league, super, you know, you got to go out on a limb here. But my first one is going to be tight end, not really a tight end, Jeff Driscoll in Houston. He has quarterback eligibility on the Yahoo Fantasy app. And if you can get any sort of snaps from him at quarterback in your tight end position, I think he's worth a stream. I had Foster Moreau in that league, and he just goosed me for the last time. I will not be burned by Foster Moreau ever again. And I decided I might have to give Driscoll, the quarterback / tight end, I might have to give him a shot. And then my second one, I'm looking at New England running backs, not named Ramondre Stevenson. People have casted Damian Harris to the side, but Ramondre looked bad after he came back from that injury, and he didn't come back in the game after his second re-aggravation. So I'm not going to lie to you, man. If it's Harris, I might start Harris. If it's Strong or the other Harris, Kevin Harris, I think New England's running backs are tantalizing this week. It's just who's it going to be? I don't personally. I'm going to go out on a limb here. This is one of those calls. I don't see Ramondre playing this week. I don't see it. You know, so I would probably go with Pierre Strong. I mean, he looked good. Kevin Harris looked good. It's going to depend on who. You pay attention throughout the weekend. This is an early shot in the dark that I'm making, but I think New England running backs could bring a lot of value for fantasy football in the playoffs, and who knows who it's going to be. But I think you got to pay close attention to that situation. Maybe grab a flyer on one of them just in case.
Well, then there's that instance where Mac Jones was yelling at the coaches saying, "Why are you running the ball?
Dude,
pass the ball." And because of that, I mean, they weren't even running the ball effectively.
No.
So if they keep that up, then these New England running backs are going to be irrelevant. It's not even going to matter.
Right. You can't
get a run game going.
Yeah, there has to be some involvement in the passing game, and there has to be a mouth to feed. I mean, if it's depending on who they prop up as the one in Harris's stead, that's going to be who I think could be sneaky this weekend.
All right, you heard it here first.
There you go.
We have another question from Takeda Luna: Knight or B-Rob or Jeff Wilson?
Knight or B-Rob or Jeff Wilson? Jeez, I think Jeff Wilson's hurt. If David's still here, David's been our injury guy so far. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't think Jeff Wilson plays this weekend. I think he got injured last week, so that would put Mostert in line to start. And Buffalo's been pretty decent against the running game. Bam Knight did have an okay game last week. The Bills defenders they can't tackle to save their lives. I don't know when that started, but that's not a fun narrative that's unfolded. So I might, of the three, that's what I thought. David's confirming Jeff Wilson is indeed hurt. So no, my name is Jeff this week. I think I'm gonna go with Bam Knight out of those three. I like what I've seen so far. He's Anthony's sleeper. Let's round out the fantasy segment with a boat of confidence for Mr. Knight.
So
When
Knight is playing against the Lions, which did shut down Dalvin Cook. And
they've
Dalvin Cook's
been
good. They shut him down completely in the first half. He had 6 rush yards and 11 attempts. So
their defense has been randomly unbelievable. After
yeah.
projecting to be an awful defense for the first half of the season, they've turned it on. So that does give you a little bit of pause, but you have to think too. I'm also big on Mike White as a streaming option at quarterback this week because the Lions get themselves in shootouts. It's what they do.
I
They're
don't think
built.
Mike White's playing.
We need a Dave. I think he is. We need
I
we need
believe
some
he got
David
I
confirmation,
believe
but I
he
think
got
he is
hurt.
because he got banged up
I
real
believe-
good. He definitely broke a rib or two when Matt Milano folded him like a Bills Mafia fan folding a table. But I'm under the impression that last time I checked, I'm streaming him in one league. I got him in. So geez, if he's not playing, Anthony, you might have just saved my hind.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Well,
double check right now.
Yeah, double check if you can. But I would say that if Mike White plays,
Yep.
I think Jets are viable fantasy starters because I could definitely see that being like a 38-31 sort of game. Although the Jets do have a great defense, Anthony. Do you foresee the Lions putting up some points against the Jets?
Maybe some. I'm really scared of this defense because it is definitely one of the best in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Who would have
so
thought?
I know.
Unbelievable.
It is, and especially the secondary. But the thing is, Jared Goff and St. Brown, they are incredible underneath. So if you
Yeah.
can just hit underneath that secondary and get the yards after catch, that's where you're going to score against the Jets defense.
That pass rush, though, Anthony, let me tell you, they are lethal. They are lethal. And Goff, with all due respect, man, we are past our 15 minutes, but I'll make this the last point.
Oh, we are.
Before we move on. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Me and Anthony have a very public. We have had a lot of very public dialogue regarding Jared Goff because he loves him, and I like him, and I think I'm here to give him his flowers. I'm here to say it so that the world can hear it. He is so much better than I thought he was. I think he has the potential to be a fantastic, like, stopgap quarterback, which we'll see if Anthony's convinced he's the quarterback of the future. I'm very eager to see how that plays out. Regardless of that, it is the Jets, and he is not the quickest guy, Anthony. So what are your thoughts on Goff this weekend?
So there's going to be a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
He's decent at getting out of pressure. The offensive
is.
line is amazing
Yeah,
right now.
they have a great
So
line.
they're
Penei
doing the
Sewell, man.
best they have in all of their careers. So if that offensive line can keep up, I think Jared Goff might take 3 or 4 sacks. But if he can get the ball out fast enough, which he has about a 2.5 second release rate on average right now.
Yeah.
So if he can get below average on his release rate, then St. Brown's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
DJ Chark is a good Swift's good out off the flat.
I
Wright's
agree
even
with
doing good at tight end.
I agree with what David said in the comments. He's changed my mind as well. I no longer think of him as a future backup. I no longer think of him as incompetent bottom half starting quarterback. I think he's somewhere comfortably in the mid range. I've compared him somewhat disrespectfully to Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr before. I think if he's in that tier, he's at least at the top of it. I'll say that much.
So right before we do halftime, I did get news that Mike White is out. Joe Flacco will be playing.
You're kidding.
Wilson bench. No, Mike White will replace Joe Flacco as the number 2 quarterback.
Bro, I got.
Oh, okay. Wait, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think that's it. Yeah, he's playing. I
thought so. I heard
think-
that he got hurt.
No, he got hurt real bad, but he's just a tough guy. People want to point out. Should we start with Takedo's point when we come back from break?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
So real quick, I gotta get some more news about that. So real quick, make sure to subscribe to our daily NFL newsletter on legitfootball.com, where you get a newsletter sent to your email every weekday. It's a 5-minute read. You get all the news that you need to know from that week. It's free, and we would love your support. Kevin, you want to plug your Twitter?
Yeah, yo, Buffalo Trill on Twitter. I love posting memes and hot takes I've been having a blast working with Legit Football. I'm super stoked to be involved with them and everything that they're doing. I'm looking at maybe branching out and doing some more podcasting and stuff. So if you follow Buffalo Trail, you'll be up on the latest content that I'm doing. And anything I do, I'll be bringing Anthony along because he's the GOAT. And I'd love to involve anybody else who's interested, just talking football, man. There's nothing better. Like I said, it used to be I'd get a text from Anthony, yo, you want to jump on the pod? And it was like the best. It was like Christmas morning every time. Now you're stuck with me. So I'm very excited to continue to chat football, and hopefully we can expand and keep chatting football with as many people and with as many awesome fans that of the pod, and as many listeners that care to chime in. That's one of my favorite parts of the show, is the interaction part. So thank you guys for being listeners.
So let's start the second half, and we'll get to this next question here.
Boom.
Or looks like it's not actually a question. People want to point out Dak has one playoff win in 7 years, but nobody points out Matthew Crapford has 0 in 13
Wow,
years.
Takeo.
All right, I'm gonna get on Stafford's defense for real.
I'm sensing we have a Cowboys fan here.
Yeah. So the thing about Stafford is he was constantly chasing points. The defense was always allowing too many points. Stafford would score and score and score and score, but they could never stop the other team. That's what happened. That's why Stafford has no playoff wins. So I'm just had to jump on his defense right there. He is an incredible quarterback, even with the Lions.
Unfortunately for Anthony, with his hat and his jersey, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Stafford plays for 28 other teams. He has at least one playoff win in his first 13 seasons. Unfortunately, organizationally, the Lions were inept for a long time. It doesn't seem that they're inept anymore. So you can come out of the shadows, Anthony. It's cool to love the Lions right now. They are fun.
But Takeo, I just want to let you know that Stafford does have a Super Bowl ring. So.
That's true. And there you go. and that's the important thing is Stafford, at the end of the day, he's got his ring. He's got the numbers to be a Hall of Famer. I think at this point, it'd be hard to keep him out. That's my opinion. I know that's maybe a hot take, given his years of being on mediocre teams, but you can only do so much. And so many great quarterbacks who never won a championship will always carry that burden because of most likely their organizations. I mean, when I think about guys like, it's kind of it's criminal that Rodgers has won. It's criminal that Breeze has won. Those two guys have been so great for so long. Brady is just, anybody who played at the same time as Brady has the unfortunate distinction of they've had to lose to him in several Super Bowls because he's just built different, Yeah. But anyways, back to what did David say? Yeah, I agree with you, David. I think the Cowboys will be interesting this year. I think if you're looking at the contenders of the NFC, it's a lot more of a thicker race for who could be representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. I would love to see I think Philly's capable. I think San Francisco's capable. I think Dallas is capable. You can't rule Tom Brady out if he sneaks in. How disgusting would that be with how he's played this year? That would just be a disgusting.
He finds his way. No matter what. He'll lose games to still find a way.
It doesn't matter.
It's amazing.
So it'll be really interesting to see. But the NFC races, I think it's a lot thicker. I think in the AFC, I think you have Buffalo, Cincinnati, Kansas City.
I think it's almost decided in the AFC.
But it's gonna be one of those three.
You do have the AFC East still, so that's going to be a battle.
Yeah, it's going to be a dogfight.
The Patriots, I don't see the Jets if they can figure out Mike White, or if Mike White can figure out them, then they might be able to see a playoff, maybe even a playoff win. Which, by the way, I did look it up. Mike White is scheduled to start.
Yeah, I think so, and I'm telling you, as tough as that is, back to the fantasy slant. It's not easy, but I'm doing it, man. The Lions have been a good matchup for quarterbacks this season, and I have to trust the numbers. As tough as it is, given that he almost broke his ribs last week, or probably actually, let's be real, he probably broke some ribs. He got free. I've never seen a cleaner, harder hit in my life. Like, for it to be both, hard and clean. Like, that's shout out to Matt Milano. That was a heck of a tackle. Yeah, I get to Cato's point about anybody who's on a championship team has a ring. I think even their water boys get rings.
But Stafford went and won the game.
He went and won the Super Bowl as a starting quarterback.
Points. He got the ball to the end zone. But away from that, though, Yeah, White is a tough cookie.
Yeah, Mike
he's
White earned a
he
lot of my
wants to
respect.
play, so he'll get hurt. I'll be like, "No, coach, keep me in,"
Yeah, dude, this
because
man
he
was out
has that.
there. He was out there slinging the rock after just getting just time and time again. Like, I mean, that's the one place where I'm actually extremely confident in for Buffalo moving forward. I think the defensive line is rounding out, even without Von Miller, as much of a bummer as that is. I think moving forward, people are like, "Oh, Buffalo's defense is struggling. Start your players against Buffalo's defense." I will not unsee what I've seen when it comes to how effective they can be and the personnel that they have. I trust Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier too much and the depth too much to just assume you can start against the Bills. That's where I'm at. They still scare me as much as they used to. And maybe that's fandom, maybe that's homerism, but I don't think so.
Yeah, so we'll use that as a transition to our next fantasy angle because I want to know who is your top start and who is your top sit of this week.
Ooh, Anthony, you're bringing the hard-hitting questions, my man. Do you want to lead us off here? Because I would like to hear what you have to say first.
Yeah, of course. I would say sit Jalen Waddle. He's coming off an injury and he's against a
Ooh,
really good Bills
good
secondary.
transition.
So I'm thinking maybe he'd be a good sit if you have another receiver that can produce. Now, if you don't have another receiver, if you have like a third or fourth string, maybe keep him in. But I would sit him for a different receiver if you had the opportunity because I don't see him getting very many. I think he's going to be double covered. I think he's going to be shut down by that secondary. So, I
I love
mean,
it.
the Bills secondary has all their guys back healthy, so they're going to be, and it's a division game at home, so
Weather.
it's gonna be it's gonna be wild. So
I
that's
think
my
that's a
tip.
great call, and I don't have the luxury in one league, I'm actually forced to start Waddle, and I don't have the luxury of having a good enough backup option. If I benched Waddle, I'd be starting Darius Slayton, and I just think at that point we're too far down the barrel, and I think I'm stuck with trotting out Jalen Waddle, waddling out Jalen Waddle, and I'm gonna live and die by the results. I've been living and dying by him all season, so we'll see what happens. Um, I will say my whole thing as far as my start of the week goes. Should I do sit or should I do start?
Yeah, do your start. Who's your start?
Because I'm between two, and they're both wide receivers, and they're both rookies. Um,
Oh,
I'm gonna start with what's been on topic. I think Garrett Wilson has proven that he is almost quarterback proof. I mean, Zach Wilson was able to make Garrett Wilson look average because Zach Wilson is Zach Wilson. But Garrett Wilson is a freak. He is an outstanding wide receiver. And the fact that Anthony, I traded him away in our dynasty league, I can't even sleep at night.
oh
Um, but he is my start of the week because he's going up against the Lions, and I foresee a shootout. I'm projecting a shootout there. I'm not saying the Lions are
yeah.
going to lose. I think I would probably pick them in a shootout. I think I'm picturing a 38-31 sort of game. I think Garrett Wilson is going to be a dog this week. I think he's going to put up some 7 to 8 catches, minimum 90 to 100 yards, probably get a touchdown. And then my other start of the week is Christian Watson.
Oh,
He
okay.
has been just lights out lately. He's getting a touchdown almost every week.
Yeah.
He's playing the Rams, who are packed in. They have not been trying for 6 weeks, 10 weeks, however long you want to. I would say the Cooper Kupp Stafford injury is when they really packed it in, but I think they were sort of packing it in before. So I'm going to go with a 2-pack of rookie receivers, Christian Watson and Garrett Wilson for my starts of the week. Anthony, give me your start of the week.
I like it. I like those starts. Those are good options. My start of the week is actually Christian McCaffrey. But
Tonight.
he's gonna be a start no matter what. You're gonna always start Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. Just to remind everyone, take your flex off Thursday night.
Oh,
Um,
what a guy. I needed that. It's the playoffs, man.
yeah,
It's the playoffs.
close. So so I'm actually gonna change my start because Christian McCaffrey's an obvious
He's an
start.
auto start,
I
sure.
didn't. It's. I mean,
I can respect that.
yeah. So
If
my
you I was gonna say if you want, I can chime in with my sit while you locate your start.
yeah, okay.
Because I feel really good about my sit, even though, again, I'm a man. Here's the thing, Anthony and I, we're men of the people. Okay. We are just like you guys. We're scrapping and clawing in every league. Unfortunately, Anthony is no longer scrapping and clawing in our dynasty league. He is officially in the toilet bowl, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I won our toilet bowl last year. I took great pride in it. But but I'm here to tell you right now, if you have Mike Evans on your fantasy football team, it is okay to bench him. And
It's
if he
okay.
goes off on your bench, so be it. But he has hurt me once again. He has hurt me for the last time this season. I will not be playing Mike Evans this week. And it doesn't feel great because he's my dynasty wide receiver too.
Right.
And he's part of the confidence that I have in my team. He's part of the reason that I was comfortable enough to trade Garrett Wilson. And I don't think he's washed, but it's not there this season. And I never thought I would say that. But that is what we're looking at. We are looking at a down year from Mike Evans. It's time to stare it in the face. It's time to call it what it is. He is having a down season.
Jimmy Ray made an appearance.
Shout out to Jimmy Ray, my guy.
Some respect. It does. I'm looking to win it this year. I'm 3-10. I did just beat a 10-2 team last week though. So that was yeah, you. I had the Jared Goff on Amon-Ra St. Brown stack. So
unbeatable.
My start of the week, I just remembered, it slipped my mind. Justin Jefferson against the Colts. He just had a 200+ yard game, no touchdowns, but to have that many yards and still lose, you're still operating well as a receiver.
Unbelievable.
Can't get into the end zone, but if that Lions secondary let off just a little bit, he would have, but they weren't letting off. So Justin Jefferson is definitely my start. Again, though, this is another obvious start. So
I absolutely love Anthony's. He all week he's going out on limbs here. He's picking the Rams to cover the spread against the Raiders with a 2-day-old Baker Mayfield, and he tells you to start McCaffrey and Jefferson. He's really going deep for that one. There you go, Jimmy Ray.
Yeah,
now you know.
So, he's on the 11 Yards podcast that I do on Wednesdays.
Great podcast.
So we talked about that. We talked about the fact that I beat a 10-2
He
team.
dethroned me. I was 1 win away from the 1 seed. It's okay because as the 2 seed, I still get my coveted bye. But Anthony kept me from getting the 1 seed this year. He played spoiler.
I played. No matter what my record was, I still went out and I played. You know,
and that's why you're a cherished member of the league, buddy. I'd like to give a couple quick things before we get to our Thursday night preview. Shout out to David for calling out how wicked Ed Oliver is. He's an animal. He's unblockable. When he gets going, he's as effective as any defensive tackle in the league, and I'm glad that the NFL is finally seeing it. It's not just a Bills fan thing. I've been pounding the table for Ed Oliver for years. He's dominant. He is absolutely. He collapses the interior pocket of every opponent that we face. Bills defense or Jets defense, you got to start the Bills defense in that matchup. It's not a great matchup for Buffalo, but if it's between the two, you have to start the Bills defense because of the weather, the likelihood that maybe a bad throw will happen or a fumble will happen. I would say the Bills defense has a higher upside, and the Jets defense, they're going to be playing against the Lions. Correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony. Is that in Detroit?
Nope, it's going to be in New York.
Okay, well, the weather might affect that game too, but not that anybody's widely reported just yet. Takeo going out on a limb, calling Jameson Williams his start of the week, or was it Jamal? I'm not sure. I think you could start either.
I think Jamal Williams.
I think you could start either.
Oh, no, he said right here starting Jameson Williams and C-Watt. So Jameson Williams, I think is a good start. He got that wide open touchdown. I don't know if you saw that. First career NFL reception was a touchdown. So
unbelievable. And I love having a Jimmy Ray appearance because Jimmy Ray, ever since our first podcast together, every time I'm on with Anthony, anytime a stat gets brought up that I don't know, I say, man, I wish Jimmy Ray was here. Man, I wish I had my stat guy here.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's good in that sense.
Should we hit him with a little bit of Thursday night preview? What are your thoughts, Anthony?
Yeah, we have a minute and a half. The 49ers versus the Seahawks. I do have the money line for the Seahawks.
What's the
winning.
spread?
I believe it's. Let me go check real fast.
While you're doing that, I will say, very excited, Jimmy Ray. Just come on anytime, dog, please. For me,
the spread is 3.5, and the 49ers are favored.
3.5 favored. Okay, for me, this game comes down to a couple things, but the big thing is, it's not like either of these teams are elite top three offenses. I mean, you could argue that maybe yes, Jimmy Ray, let's do that. You could argue that maybe the San Francisco 49ers rushing attack is up there in the elite, but I think that this game's going to come down to who plays more disciplined, who's coached better. And I think I have to give that edge to Shanahan and the 49ers. Having Trey Lance go down with a season-ending injury, having Jimmy Garoppolo go down with a season-ending injury, and having your Mr. Irrelevant rookie 7th-round draft pick ready to go, but not only just to go, but also to kind of be a stud. Yeah. I just feel like Shanahan, he's got to be in the running for Coach of the Year. And I feel like the difference in this game comes down to the coaching, and I'm going to pick San Francisco to beat Seattle and cover the spread. That's my take.
Beat and cover. So I do have the Seahawks winning, but I have the 49ers covering it only because I still need Brock Purdy to show me more.
So you have a less than a 3-point win.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Well, that's it. The timer is up. That is the end of our show today. Everyone enjoy tonight's game. I think it's going to be a good one. The thing about it is I just need Brock Purdy to show me that he's for real because
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen, Anthony. I'm rooting for him.
It's going to happen, and I'm going to tag you on Twitter just like you tagged me last week when Goff had a great game. We're doing it. We're doing the tag battles. Okay, you started it. You threw the first punch. I'm tagging you tonight when Brock Purdy balls out.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No, you're right. You know what? I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong. So I will happily retweet that and say, you know what? I admit to my mistake. I was
Purdy's
wrong.
Going to show you. I love Geno Smith though. We wrote him off.
That's the thing is he's been right on. He's just been on. We haven't been able to write him off. And and the thing is Brock Purdy's still new in the league. He's still really, I know he just beat the GOAT, but with that offense, but if any team's going to shut down that 49ers offense, it's going to be a division rival. And so I just see that.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I'm not doubling down. I'm not saying for sure that this is, but I have enough confidence to say that I think he's going to win the game tonight, and I think he's going to, but like you said, I will take my L's gracefully. I will retweet anything if I get destroyed on my takes, but we'll see what happens.
Well, there you have it. This has been 30 minutes of football presented by Legit Football. Enjoy the game.
Ayuk and Watson, Caden.
That's spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
I will say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner.